Well, my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Still got my scars. I still have a very sore neck and shoulder from the incident, and I've still been putting heat on it all evening long, every evening. But during the day, I'm out working, and I have a few short video clips for you today of what I did this morning, primarily. I didn't take any video clips of me cleaning the shop. That's what I did most of the morning, was try to spend time hanging up stuff, putting stuff away, trying to make some shop improvements just to give myself some room. I mean, it's definitely 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. So anyway, after I did that, well, then I went out and trimmed some trees. First, let me give you an little update video clip here, and then we'll talk about that. Just take a look at this. Not much changed in here, but we did get the water hooked up on the sink, so that does work now, as you can see. And it's sitting quite a ways from the wall, but what I'm going to do maybe is get a board and lock it to this and to the wall. And the reason is that, first of all, that gets it out where where it's even with the rest of this, but also this tall deal that she wanted interferes with this if you push it back. So we can't push it back anyway. So I'll just make some kind of a wooden shelf here, which will be handy anyway, because you know how it is. You accumulate a lot of junk and you need to set it someplace. So I want to give you an update on that drain cleaner. She felt like this drain needed cleaning. So I poured some of that drain cleaner down here, and it sat in this P-trap right here. Well, the problem with that is that got so hot that it started melting. I shouldn't say melting, but it softened the plastic, and then that post, the upright spout there started leaning over because it was melting. So I straightened that back up and poured cold water down there and got rid of it. It only took about 5 minutes for that to happen. So I just want to point that out. That drain cleaner is some really powerful stuff, and it does eat out what's in the drain. So just know that, and if you use it, and be very careful, because it's not a toy. I guarantee you, we're not talking about the off-the-shelf stuff when you use that stuff that I pointed out the other day. Yeah, so be sure that you understand that if you get that sulfuric acid to pour down your drain, that it will get really hot. As soon as you pour it in, like when I poured it in right there, it just I don't know, it sounds like it's boiling or growling or whatever. I mean, it makes some noise. You can tell it's going to work the instant you pour it in. You don't have to wait 10 seconds. It starts instantly. And then just a few minutes later, it was getting pretty darn hot. So I thought, well, in this particular case, since that's the spout for the drain for the washing machine. I couldn't think of the right word there. So it's the drain for the washing machine. Well, and it's freestanding there, so it's kind of heavy on its own, and it started to bend down. So I thought I better cool that off right away, and so I did. I poured cold water down there. Anyway, just be careful with that if you use it. Here's the trimming trees video. Well, my friends, it comes time when these things are hanging this low over the driveway to say goodbye. We could prune individual limbs, or we can just fix the problem. I'm going to finally fix the problem. So I'm going to film me trimming up these trees, but this time I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to cut out the big limbs. Dang, Yellow Jacket was attacking me. Well, I got around on the backside of that tree with the ladder. Thought I was far enough around, but yet that sucker came right down next to me, man. Just missed me and the ladder by about 2.5 inches. Glad I went around as far as I did. If I'd have gone less, I'd have been knocked off that ladder. Oh well, you know, you can't get hurt sitting on the couch. You can't hardly get hurt at all. It's just amazing. There's a lot of work to be done on a place like this. And, you know, I'm very much aware of what can happen. And I try to take precautions. Sometimes I get by just barely, and that was one of them. Well, there you go. There's the difference. There's this one little limb is still hanging kind of down. It's not completely over the road. That comes off of this little tree. I'm debating on whether we should just leave the little tree or get rid of it, but I kind of think we ought to leave it because this one here I don't think is long for the world. It's getting awful thin looking, and it's got a big lightning split up here or some kind of split. So I don't know. Might cut this one limb off, but right now I'm not even too worried about that. That got rid of 90% of it. There was a lot. There was one on the elm tree that was hanging way down, and there was a couple on this big walnut that were hanging way down, and the other walnut too. And yeah, in fact, there were 2 on this walnut. And so anyway, that opens it up where the UPS truck and all of our rigs can get through here now. Yeah, and what didn't get filmed there was that Sue actually lifted me up in the Bobcat bucket, and I cut up several limbs up high. You know, so there was a lot of limb trimming going on today, and that sitting in that bucket, trimming trees out of a bucket like that is what killed my friend Gene Smith that I've told you about. He was that genius that designed those airplanes and was on the cover of the Oshkosh, air, Air News or whatever up there. Anyway, he was the innovator of the year and was on the cover. But he was, he was older than me. He was in his early 80s, and he was up in the bucket like that, trimming trees, and fell out, and that's what killed him. Yeah, I expected him to die from one of his airplanes that he was flying all the time, because he was designing them left and right and flying them all the time. In fact, he took me flying with him one time. It was quite an experience, basically flying in a lawn chair with your just looking straight down at the ground. Pretty crazy. Anyway, I was very, very, very careful while I was up in that bucket, let me tell you. But anything can happen. Let's see. The last little clip here. This is just one of those clips. I don't know. No reason for it. Just is. I just put the 8-foot stepladder back in the water wheel house there for future projects down here. And I thought, well, since I'm here, might as well give you the obligatory shot of the water wheel. It's sprinkling out there. There's sprinkles hitting the pond. Been working hard this morning again, trimming those trees. There's a lot of work to it. Yeah, the water wheel's really slowed down. It's more of a trickle now. But then again, it would help if I stopped that little leak right there. Every little bit helps on this spinning. Yeah, it's slowed down quite a bit, but it doesn't, so far, it's never gone dry in all the years we've lived here. So it keeps going. Go ahead. I guess we'll go ahead and go to the comments and see what's going on. David Tharp was the first one in. He says, I have a Polish friend who's a sound man. I have a check 1 2. I have a Polish man who's a sound man. I have a check 1 2. Okay, that one went right over the top there. I didn't see that one at all. Rod went. Hi, Jerry and Chatsters. Okay. And then David Thorpe says, today I saw an ant in the kitchen. I put a few sugar cubes in maybe that's supposed to be in front of him. He ate some and left to tell his friends. Then I hid the sugar because I wanted them to think he was a liar. Gino Hitch says, hi, Jerry and friends. Still doing the bathroom remodel. Hopefully you got your machinery back online. Careful, it's really hot out there. Yeah. Well, I did go ahead and put that little restrictor valve onto the excavator, and I pulled the excavator out of the shop this morning and parked it. I didn't do any digging with it, but I can tell that I might have it a little too restricted, but I can always make the hole bigger. But I can tell it's putting a strain on the engine whenever I try to operate like the elbow and the wrist both. I had the bucket curl and the boom, the middle of the boom there, or whatever you want to call that. Anyway, I can tell that when I operate those two things now, they are definitely slower, but it's also putting a huge strain on the engine, I guess. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. I may have to open that up a little bit, but that's okay. Ronald Todd says, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks of New Jersey. Bill Webb says, afternoon, Jerry and friends. Jeff Pierce is there. Let's see, B.H. Ringer from Nova Scotia. Wavy Gravy says, Jerry, my dog absolutely did not want to go see the vet. He hid under the bed, then he hid behind the couch. Finally, he hid under the drapes, so I showed him I went to the vet by myself. Wow. Yeah, that'll show him. David Thorpe, my pet crow went mute, so I took him to the vet. The vet said he couldn't help. He said it was a lost cause. I do get that one. Okay, let's see. Dottie says she's praying for the hands and things. Boy, the hands have been hurting a lot lately. They really have. Everything I do, I just working in that utility room. I couldn't hold on to a screwdriver. I mean, I bet I dropped it 4 times just trying to put an outlet in. It's that bad. It's really not good. I don't know how I can still play. For whatever reason, that position doesn't hurt. Holding the pick, that doesn't really hurt too bad most of the time. Every once in a while it does, but most of the time it doesn't. And then mostly it's in this thumb area here on this hand, so the finger's not too bad like that. But it just depends the position I get the hand in. And, I don't know. But it ain't good. And she said prayers for JR there too. Well, JR, I think he's got another eye appointment here soon, but it ain't looking real good. It's still bothering him a lot. I'll tell you another story on JR, what happened, I think yesterday or maybe day before. He had a well drilled at his new place that's down at the end of the road on the way into our farms are right here next to each other, but he bought another small acreage, I don't know, it's only a few acres, maybe 5 or 6 acres, I'm not really sure, down at the beginning of the road. Well, he had a well drilled down there, and it's an artesian well. Do you know what that means? The water is shooting up out of the ground. It's not coming out like a geyser, but it's coming out of the top of the pipe. It's like a 6-inch pipe or so, and it's just boiling over all the time, bubbling over. It's not, it's not coming up real high or anything. It's just barely coming over the top of the pipe, but it doesn't take very long to make a mess, and he's got a mess. Most people, they drill 600 feet and they can't even find water. And around here, it's not like that. It's, in fact, we think he probably hit the aquifer that's on the, can't think of the darn name of it now. There was a Stony Dell, I think it is. Stony Dell was it was kind of like a resort out here, and they had a swimming pool. This was back in the 20s, 30s, some time frame in there, maybe even the 40s. I'm not really sure. I think it was probably gone maybe in the late 50s or 60s, somewhere in there. When did they do Highway 44, versus Route 66? Because this is right on Route 66, the old Route 66. Anyway, there was this swimming pool area, and it was fed by an artesian well. In fact, the artesian well's still over there now, which is just across the highway from where JR's property is. I mean, it's only maybe 300 yards or 400 yards over to where the actual artesian well is that's been there for years. They've got a pipe coming up out of the ground, and water just pours out constantly. And so basically that's what JR has on his property. I mean, it's hard to complain about getting water, but it's kind of you kind of complain when it just keeps pouring out of the ground. I think if it were me, what I would do is I'd probably find a way to cap it, and I would just let the water itself feed his barn and and just put a spigot on it, just cap it off, and let the water be its own. He wouldn't need a pump or nothing, I just use it like that if it was me, because he's mostly just using it for his barn, I think, down there. His plan is, or at least I think his plan is, and maybe I shouldn't say because I don't know if he's mentioned it on his channel or not, but I think his plan is to make it like a horse motel. The barn down there, like people going down the highway, if they're hauling animals, could pull off there and camp there and have a place to put their horses for the evening. That's his plan, I think. I don't know if it'll work or not, but we'll see. All right, moving on down. After we went live, David Tharp says, I told my kids, don't make fun of me having trouble with the computer. I taught you how to use a spoon. Yeah. Wavy Gravy. My neighbor was worried that AI might have to take over his job someday, but his wife calmed him down. She said, honey, don't worry. Any idiot could do your job. Yeah, there you go. Scott Roberts, when someone asks about that scar on your head, just tell him you bit yourself. How? Stood on a chair. Yeah. I don't know. I've got, as you can tell, I got ointment on there. I've been putting Amphor or something like that. I don't know. Whatever it is. Putting something on there. It's like an antibiotic type stuff. Bo Horn says, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate continued prayers for my son-in-law, Tommy Waitley. Well, I will be doing that for you, Bo. Yeah, that don't sound good. Bill Mumbo, has anybody seen a young Irish blues guitarist and singer named Miriam Bradley? Fabulous cover of I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. I'll try to remember to check it out. Hugh O'Connor, sink rather than use sulfuric acid. I suggest lactic or citric acid. Should clean as well as sulfuric, but without so much heat. Well, I've never heard of such a thing, using lactic acid or citric acid, but I guess if it works, it works. Bad Bob V65. Hey, I got here just in time to hear the horse fly buzzing the camera. Actually, I think it was Yellow Jacket, because when I went over there, because a lot of the clips that I cut out, you could see it flying around. You could see it going. It was blurry because it was so close to the lens, but it kept going over the lens and just kept going around it. And when I got over there to pick up the camera, there was a Yellow Jacket buzzing me like crazy. I couldn't get rid of the thing. So I think it was a Yellow Jacket. Lon, I really enjoyed all your shows and just want you to know I just turned 71 and have watched all your videos. Well, thank you so much, Lon, and happy birthday to you. Preston Johnson, hey Jerry, how is JR doing? Yep, well, I gave you an update on JR. Let's see, Sidecar Bob, had to watch yesterday's later on, another trip to get supplies. It is still hot here, but we've decided to turn the HVAC back on tomorrow. Good. Bruce Moore, Jerry, I have been using InstaFlow to clean my drains for a long time. I'm completely satisfied with it and does not harm your pipes. InstaFlow. I'm not familiar with that one either. Well, Sue had used a bunch of different drain cleaners on the kitchen sink and nothing was working. Well, I poured that stuff down there, and 15 minutes later, it's perfectly open. It runs. You can run the water full blast now, and it just goes right on through. So you got to do what you got to do. Sidecar Bob, does the Czech sound guy say Polish 1, 2? This is still going over my head on the sound thing. Let's see. Oh, check 1, 2, Polish 1. Okay, all right, I get it. Well, I get part of it. I don't know if I got the whole thing because I'd have to go back and reread the first one. David Tharp, I told my wife that she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. I tell you, the ones I don't like is where they put too much eye makeup on the bottom of their eye, on the bottom side. It just makes your eyes look weird. Most of if you look at the real glamorous, good-looking gals that, have been professionally made up, they don't have heavy makeup under their eyes. It's mostly over the eyes, and it looks so much nicer. So there you go. You didn't know you were going to get makeup tips today, did you? Scott Roberts, what do hogs put on their boo-boos? Ointment. Wavy Gravy, just remember to never sweat the pretty things and never pet the sweaty things, and you'll be just fine. I'll try to remember that. Scott Roberts, I've been watching the video from 3 years ago when that Gibson L00 guitar was giving you fits. At least I am enjoying it, even if you weren't. Well, I can't even remember which one that was because there were so many of them. Dottie, when you do a sound check, you say, check 1, 2. That's David's statement about the Polish cousin and a check 1, 2. Yeah, well, I'd have to go back and reread it now to see how funny it was. The problem is the reading thing for me. The thoughts don't all go together, especially the first time I read something. Okay, well, it looks like we're at the end there. I think we probably just leave a nice short one today, and I appreciate y'all being here. If you would click the thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow with something else. Let's see, there was one more popped in there. It was your last lacquer job you were going to do and ended up using shellac. Got me. Still don't. That didn't ring any bells either. People would often, say things like, I brought you that, you remember that Martin guitar I brought you, it was like 7 years ago, and it was, are you kidding me? You have to remember, when I was in my heyday doing this, I was working on 2 to 3, 4 instruments per day, sometimes more than that, and pretty much every day. So to remember any one, it had to stand out, kind of like the firecracker one. Or, it has to stand out pretty good before I'm going to remember it. Well, y'all, we will see you tomorrow with there was another one popped up. That whack on your head scrambled something, but I don't remember work I have done either. No, I don't think that's got anything to do with it. If you work on as many instruments as I did, and that's why, like people would say, well, don't you know which model this one is and that model? And I'm going, are you kidding me? There's thousands of models out there, and I've seen most of them, and they all just run together. All I give a rip about when I have one in my desk is what's wrong with it and what do I need to fix. That's all I cared about. I didn't give a rip that this one was the elite model that had the, tortoise shell binding. I could give a rip about that. All I cared about was what was wrong with it, and I fixed it. That's just the way it worked for me. Not everybody's like that, but that's the way it was for me. We will see you tomorrow with something else.